Hey, this is Steve, Nashville, Tennessee, and you're listening to Count It Off.
Take two, Rolling.
Welcome to Count It Off with your host, Jeff Dayton, where we explore the world of music through the eyes of some fascinating guests. So get tuned up and let's count it off.
It's a laugh track.
What is that?
I don't know, but I'd look one way or the other.
It sounds like money.
It's the sound of money. Chicka, chicka, chicka.
Oh, man. I have been so looking forward to this. I'm Jeff Dayton. I'm your host of Count It Off here, and this is our podcast where we get to interview fascinating people with fascinating stories, and we're up here on a top-secret location near Nashville, Tennessee, with none other than Phil Solem from the Rembrandts. Everybody.
Listen to all, yeah.
Yeah, the cheesy part's over now. You're safe.
No, I love the laugh track, and if you got an applause sign for me, let me know.
I will do that. Well, thanks for saying yes, and obviously we've just heard a little bit of your work there. Folks, this is so cool because we've known each other for a bit, and we both met at a cool benefit event. You were there, and I especially remember Joey Mullen, the late Joey Mullen from Badfinger was there, and a bunch of other great people, and we both kind of connected over the same kind of like admiration for each other's careers. Like I'm a total fan of your music, and you were a geek for Glenn Campbell, and
Still am.
It's been broski ever since, you know?
That's right. I think we actually met before that one thing you mentioned, though.
It might have been.
Somewhere along the road, you know?
Well, we both have roots in the Twin Cities, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Where did you grow up in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area?
Well, I never grew up, for one thing.
Yeah,
and
there's
the
that.
other thing was I didn't move to Minneapolis until after I'd lived in L.A. for a few years.
Oh, really?
I'm from Duluth.
Are you really?
Yeah, I thought maybe you knew that.
No, I didn't, but let me introduce you to everybody here. I wrote this little thing up. Phil Solem is a singer, songwriter, and guitarist and producer, best known as co-founder of the pop rock duo The Rembrandts. Man, you had to be under a rock to not know who those guys are. Creators of the global hit, I'll Be There For You, the theme song to Friends, which aired from 1994 to 2004, 10 seasons. There aren't too many shows that run that long, and they are iconic, to say the least. Seinfeld, Hawaii Five-0, although not so much. Those are great, great shows, and you've really made your stamp on American culture with that show.
Turns out, bizarrely.
And now he's into solo projects and collaborations as well as the Rembrandts. Solem has built a reputation for melodic songwriting, jangly guitar work, and timeless pop craftsmanship. I would say all of that is true. Would you say that is true?
Well, I'd like to sprinkle that amongst the many other things that I dabble in.
Well, let's dabble in those too. And then he continues to write, perform, record, and balance his legacy with fresh creative output. Man,
I like the way you say that.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be a good guy, trying to be a good host. And this is really a nice spot. We've got a good little spot here out by some water. And
got a little water here and various flora and fauna.
Mm-hmm. And it's a pretty nice day. We've had this morning was so nice and cool in Nashville.
Ooh, it's beautiful, yeah.
I love it. And tomorrow's the same. Well, talk about your beginnings up in Duluth,
Well, that's what I have to do that then. I lived in a part of town where nobody talked like that. I lived out in the woods, and all I know was I watched a lot of TV when it was brand new.
Mm.
You know, as a little kid, my dad brought in this big TV, and we just parked in front of that and soaked up the whole planet, through there. So then when I'd be taken into town, I would hear people that did kind of what you did there.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like,
I'd
ask my dad, why do they talk so funny around here? He goes, well, that's, they're from places where they've got this thing that they've taken here with them. And I'm like, well, I'm glad we live where we do because I can't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, a bunch of Germans and Swedes,
Yeah, apparently so.
And Norwegians, yeah. Yeah, and then TV, I bet you were a fan of like the black and white kids shows in the morning, we'd watch Andy's Gang and all those kind of things.
I don't remember Andy's Gang. What was that?
That was Pluck Your Magic Twanger, Froggy.
I don't remember that.
Oh, Andy Devine was his name.
Oh, okay. I may have caught a little piece of that here and there. But yeah, I was a Captain Kangaroo kid.
Oh, yeah.
And what else was, obviously the cartoons. Wow, haven't thought of that for 60 years.
Yeah, well, now it's stuck. You'll be all night long flipping in your bed going,
I got to unwrite the song I was working on because I put that in there.
Oh, no. Okay. And from your heavily influenced childhood with black and white TV and Captain Kangaroo, what was next for you?
Well, I watched a lot of movies I probably shouldn't have seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sneak up at night. I'm an insomniac, so my parents would tuck me in and then they'd watch the tube. And I'd sneak out of my bed and watch what they were watching. So I saw the whole world unfold upon our little TV screen there. And so that's where I got my education.
Were you interested in music back then?
Oh, yeah. My dad was a great singer and played all the cowboy chords.
Yeah.
And he knew some of the trick chords as well, but he said, you just save these for when you really need them. And he showed me stuff from pretty early on, but my fingers were too teensy and weak. And when he finally got me into it, he had an old Martin guitar that was underneath the staircase leading to our basement, and there was a furnace in there. So this guitar had been just dried up and sort of shriveled, and the strings were all full tension, and the neck was warped. And he got that out, and he's like, maybe we can fix this thing up. And the headstock had cracked and was falling because of the tension of the strings.
Oh.
So he took it all apart, there was no truss rod in there from back in the old days.
That's really an old one, yeah.
Yeah, and it had to be, he didn't know what to do other than to like take the part of the headstock, the faceplate, and he peeled it off and he put on a piece of linoleum or what is it called? The stuff that looks like, mother of toilet seats.
Oh, yeah.
And it looked cool to me, a kid, I was like 11 when he did this. But he had to do something because it was going to snap right off of there. And he fixed that up and he said, you know what, let's get you some nylon strings and put those on. And basically that guitar sounded just like Willie Nelson's guitar.
Oh, I'll bet.
It had that guttural bucket sort of sound. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So that's how I learned and had that thing through quite a long time. And then the rest of the story is in another chapter.
Yeah. Well, next time we meet our hero, we'll ask about that guitar. Your mom and dad were really handsome people, if that's a word for both of them. Yeah, I just passed a picture as we were coming out here to our top secret location. And your mom is just like a stoic, beautiful, classic beauty, and your dad looked like a movie star. I mean, it was great.
Yeah. I always thought they were movie stars. When I was a kid, I would see, and I wasn't supposed to be watching these, but I'd see Marilyn Monroe movies. I'm like, that's my mom. She looked just like her to me. And everyone else would tease her about that. But she definitely had the look, and her name was Marilyn. So it's like they talk about Marilyn, and I just go, oh, yeah, from the movie there. My mom,
Yeah. I really enjoyed meeting your mom.
We had some good times.
Yeah, she was a classic lady. But then you mentioned you moved to L.A. Did that come along pretty quickly? Well,
that was after I was 18, and my dad had passed away right after I got out of high school. That was a rough period. My whole family just kind of caved, and I spent another maybe year and a half in Duluth, and that was the first time I got out and started playing around town. Mm-hmm. I went from being, all I would ever drink at home was, soda pop and, safe stuff. As soon as Dad left the planet, I was hardcore, going to the bars. In Minnesota, you could do that at 18 years old.
Yeah.
Which is crazy when I think back on it. It's like I was not ready for that, nor is anybody else really, unless they're super advanced.
So what did you think when you got to L.A.?
Well,
it was just you and your mom, or were you?
No, actually,
mom was back home. Or?
Mom, her brother, Uncle Ron, lived in Phoenix for many, many years. So since I was a little kid, we'd go to Phoenix to visit him, and he was a psychologist. So he had cool digs everywhere. He'd live around there. Every few years he'd move into a new place, and he always had swimming pools, and so Mom she was. Really knocked for a loop when Dad passed away, and as we all were. And she gave me the choice, like, you can move out with me or you can stay here, but I got to sell the house and I can't be in this town anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was making the move. And meanwhile, I was up playing. I was in a couple different bands, and I'm trying to put it together in my mind because that's been like 51 years since then.
Yeah.
So I think it was a decision I had to make as to whether to move out to Phoenix or to stay in Duluth. And I wanted to move, of all places, to London.
Oh, wow.
Because I was, at that point in time, I was being influenced by, some kind of progressive rock stuff. And I was like, all my favorite people at the time were in England. So I that was my plan, but I didn't have a solid plan. And then it was like, well, I guess I'll have to go to Phoenix and see what happens. I ended up taking a couple of guys with me that I'd been playing with.
From the Twin Cities? Or
no, from Duluth.
From Duluth, I mean?
Well, one was from Superior.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd been playing, we had a band called Android at the time, and we were like wild characters that I couldn't even believe I signed up for this thing because I was very not so much like that up until I started hitting a few extra quarts of fine liquids that turned me into a complete freak. And we dressed up in all these costumes that we had. We would make our own costumes.
Like early Devo.
It was, way pre-Devo.
That's what I mean.
It was, glam, basically.
Yeah, okay. You remember Kurt Olmsted? They call him Curtis A.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah. And I was in a band with him. And,
oh, no way.
And it was called Clone and the Androids.
Get out.
I'm
so
not
we have
kidding.
androids in both our past.
Yeah,
That's
they're
crazy.
both of our family history have androids. Yeah,
unreal.
Yeah, that was down in Marshall, Minnesota. But on to your story. Yeah.
Well, I'm fascinated by yours, and Kurt, he's a wild man.
He's an interesting guy. He always was. So you're in Phoenix.
I lived there in like summer of '76 for about a month, and the guys who came out with me, we went out and we looked around town, and all this stuff, Phoenix was another place you could be pretty young, I think, and go out. And my parents would take me to bars, or there'd be restaurants that were sort of bars, and they'd have bands playing, and it's like, this is cool.
Yeah,
so I thought,
big cowboy town too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of hats and boots.
Yeah, but I thought, well, I'm doing a rock and roll thing now. I don't know how this is going to go, but I had seen, even back when I'd be out there, once in a while, we'd run across rock music in these clubs, and it's like, all right, we're doing this, and that sounds like a good place to be. Well, we went to every club that I remembered being a cool place, and every one of them said, well, see that stage? We're not doing that anymore. Now we're putting a disco ball up, and we're going to have a DJ, and suddenly the disco scene hit real hard. Everywhere in Phoenix, it just was like, what? So the drummer who moved out with me, he wasn't in any of the bands that I was in, but we'd been introduced, and he was way into, like big drum kits with lots of tom-toms and stuff. And it's like, all right, we're going to make some kind of thing out of this. So we all got out there, and then he said, this ain't happening. My some of my family lives in LA. Let's go visit them and just see what it's like out there. So we did. And it was like, all right, what are we doing in Phoenix? So within about a month, we just all went out to LA and lived in our cars for a year.
Well, late 70s LA, I mean, Van Halen is just breaking. They're just playing the clubs and stuff. And
yeah, I saw them before they were doing that.
I can't imagine how
it was
cool that was.
1976.
Yeah.
So, I saw them in the very early stages, and
wow.
I saw them playing like high school gyms and stuff.
Well, that's really the place to be. I mean, for rock and roll back in, that time.
It was amazing, the coincidental things that happened. I mean, I have so many stories, which you'll have to buy the book.
And where can we get that book?
Well, it's in my brain at the moment.
Yes. How long did you stay in LA then?
Pushing 7 years, I believe, is what the when I look back.
Okay.
I feel like I lived every kind of lifetime experience in that amount of time. From groveling and getting part-time jobs and doing things that I never was physically capable of doing, like roofing and lifting rocks and whatever kind of thing, would pay some, pay for hot dogs. Basically.
You remember Mel Jass on TV in the Twin Cities, and he'd get some lady calling in on the phone, and he'd say, "What does your husband do?" And she goes, "He lifts rocks." And then you go, "Oh, he's got a good job."
He's got a
got a good job. Yeah.
Wow.
So the early 80s, if I remember my stories right, Gary Lopak and some of my friends lived there in the early 80s, and guys from Phoenix that had moved over there. And a lot of that was pay to play back then. Did you bump into that era at all?
Not so much, because that was an 80s thing. They suddenly pulled kind of the rug out from under everybody, and the clubs would... I never had to deal with this myself because I was already established in that scene, and we never paid anybody to play. It was like we just show up, and the club would advertise, they'd give us...
the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, we'd go around postering the town and all that sort of thing. Yeah, the pay to play, once I heard about that, it's like, what? So you'd have to buy, whatever the capacity was of tickets and sell them yourself, and then you'd get a cut of that.
And pay the sound man.
Yeah. I mean, nobody ever... I didn't even think about the money. We never... I mean, I was so... I have no clue about dollars and cents. I have no sense for that. And I don't have time to learn it, so to hell with it.
There you go. That's like me in sidechain processing. Yeah, I don't have at this point in my life, I don't care to learn. Hey, I want to jump over here and just treat people to some more of your music, if you don't mind, because I do love your music, and I'm going to pull up a Rembrandts track here. This is actually the most recent thing I found, and this is called Broken Toy. This is a single from 2019. Is that right? Something like that?
It's about 6 years ago, I think.
All right, y'all check it out.
It's the fade in.
I love that, man. That is so strong.
Thank you.
I really do. I've loved your band since I first heard you. And I mean, it had nothing to do with the TV show, because I was married to a lady, and she had the box set of Friends every episode for the whole run of the show. And I thought, this is interesting. I've never watched one episode, so I didn't know about the song, but I dug.
Wow.
I found
so you knew about us guys before you even knew about that.
Yeah, I found you guys just because I was listening to the radio. And That's Just the Way It Is, Baby was like the one that just brought me to the party, man.
We couldn't get rid of that one for like 2 years.
Wow. Well, I tell you what.
Keep on working it.
Yeah. What a great bunch of music you've put out. And I'm just, folks, everybody knows I'm a producer, writer, engineer, except for sidechain. And
I'll teach you that one. It's easy.
I do that. Expand my skill set. But I love how full your records sound. I mean, it's the guitar band thing. There's a little keyboard back there. There's a little piano, a little B. I can hear that in there. But basically, it's a guitar band. It's like a good... My bands, my go-to bands were always the Byrds, the jangly kind of thing. The Wilburys, All this, the Gin Blossoms from Phoenix, they were just starting to move around back in the days you were there, down on Mill Avenue, that scene. And always loved
I never
that
knew
thing.
about those guys in the Phoenix scene. I mean, I was out of there, but I would go back to Phoenix to visit my mom and my uncle at the time.
Yeah.
And, still some family out there, but I never really knew about the Gin Blossoms, but we ended up with the same manager as them.
Wow.
And so we ended up doing like tours for many years that we were on the bill, but it would just mostly be me and Danny on acoustic guitars. So we'd open up at all these various things, and then they'd come on after and, full band. And it was always like, why do we have to have the sunshine in our eyes?
You're on the early side. Yeah. You mentioned Danny, your partner, Danny Wilde. When did you guys meet?
Weirdly, well, probably not long after I moved to L.A., we were both, he was in a band called The Quick. And once I discovered The Quick, it was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. These guys and me have a musical sensibility that's kind of in the same department. Some dangerous changes and melodies that do all kinds of crazy things. And meanwhile, the band I was writing with the guys. I wrote a bunch of the music, but I wasn't really, I wasn't confident enough to be a singer at the time. I could do backups and stuff, and I knew I could pull that off, but to be a frontman, I was not up for that. So we had gotten another friend of mine for many years, Ray Wolf, who moved out to L.A. and joined us, and he was like a powerhouse, rock singer. So basically, all our music became this like rock thing. And corner of my eye, I'm seeing, The Quick. I went to all their shows, got into that crowd. It was completely opposite of what I was doing. And eventually, through a whole series of foibles and whatnot, ended up getting a phone call one day when our other band, which was called Loose Change at the time, we were just getting it together to do some big things. Yeah, we were in a like fight or flight mode. And while we were arguing about what was going on, the phone rings in our rehearsal studio, and I'm like, okay, I'm out of here for a minute. I'll go get the phone. And it was Ian Ainsworth from The Quick calling, saying, is there any chance you'd be interested in joining our band?
Oh man.
And I was like, this is impossible, which it was. But they were making a new band. They'd split up The Quick, and they made a new band called Great Buildings, and they had a guy playing guitar with them at the time that they weren't happy with. They found my phone number somehow and invited me in, and I just went back in the other room and told the guys, well, goodbye. I'm joining a band called Great Buildings.
That's where you and Danny started working together?
Yeah.
Wow, and he was in that band along with the...
Yeah, I mean, he was a Quick guy, and I had met him at many parties. And, I remember the first time we really got together, we were at a party in Beverly Hills, and we were going through the record collection of this girl who lived there, which eventually turned out to be, we were both seeing this girl. But we didn't know that until years later. He thought, she was his girl, and I thought she was mine. And so we're going through her records, and we're like, oh, check this one. Oh, I love that. And we just sort of hit it off. Yeah. And it's been like that ever since. And
what musical thing about Danny attracted you to partner up with him?
Well, he was, a lead singer, and he had a very high voice, and I knew I could match him, but I didn't have the confidence, but he had like ultra confidence. So I was fascinated with that. And then when we got together and did Great Buildings, we ended up, our kind of core value was 3-part harmonies. And at that time, it seemed like, well, this is kind of almost cheesy. But we put that stuff in. It was almost like barbershop quartet -1,
Yeah. Well, what I notice about the Rembrandts, if you don't mind me jumping eras here,
cool.
is that your lower part is an independent lower part. It's not like block harmonies like we don't block. And so you have that kind of Beatlesque thing going on there, or
it's
whatever.
Very, and not only that, we do cross over, and I end up singing a lot of high stuff that I should not legally be able to do, but I somehow happen to have because my voice is like very airy and kind of baritone-ish, in my opinion. Danny always goes, no, you're a tenor. I'm like, no, I'm not a tenor, but I can sing soprano. So he would, we get in arguments over who's going to sing lead on this one.
Yeah.
Even if it was a song I wrote, he'd say, well, what do you hear for a harmony on there? And I'd go, well, here's how the harmony should go, in my opinion. And I'd show him that, and he goes, why don't you just sing that, and I'll just do the melody. And I'd be like, well, wait a minute. That's not right. Yeah. But he had a way of like twisting it and no, man, you sound so good there.
Well, that's good.
So,
supportive partner.
Well, sort of a snaky
strong arm. Where did Great Buildings evolve into the Rembrandts?
We had to split up because I had a girlfriend who ended up carrying my future daughter. And, we were living in L.A., and she was determined to, move back. She was from Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. That was kind of my connection there. And I was sort of put on the spot, and it was either be with her and have this child, or that would be the end of that, and she was going to leave. And so I opted for that. It just seemed like the right thing to do. So I had to tell the guys, hey, I got no choice here. We're going to have to call it a night. But we were just in the middle of working on our second record, mm-hmm. and we had been signed to Columbia Records.
Wow.
Which is, was pretty much as big as you could get.
Right.
And they were really behind our first record, and we started making the second one, and we only got as far as doing basic tracks with live vocals on it.
Yeah.
So it was all printed up and ready to go to get overdubs and dolled up and everything. But we never did finish that one. Ironically, in the far future, really, Columbia, which was bought out by Sony, ended up deciding, we're not going to just shelf this thing, we're going to put it out. So they put out both our albums, in separate scenarios, so you can actually find the second album.
Great Buildings.
Yeah, and there's some good stuff on there, but it's not as produced. But we had a great producer, John Boylan.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So if you know him, brilliant.
Well, I don't know him, but, hey, John, it's Jeff. Jeff Dayton.
You mean which Jeff now? 1,000 Jeffs.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. What year did the Rembrandts begin?
89.
Okay. And then what year did That's Just the Way It Is, Baby? When did that happen?
That came out in 1990.
Really?
But that was the first song we wrote when we got together. I had the chorus and the idea for what the song could be, and then Danny and I put our heads together and knocked it out. And it's funny because most of what we did was sort of in order, and we did it ourselves in his garage, 13 by 13 room, illegal to record in a place like that because of various things that you're not supposed to do. And we just did that. And then our manager got us a publishing deal with Warner Brothers, and they were like, well, you guys need to go out and play this stuff. And we thought, well, we're not going to play it. We wrote these songs, and somebody else will do them. We just wanted a publishing deal. And we talked about oh man, we have to go on the road, and yuck. Most people our age at that point, I mean, we were like over 30 at that point. And it's like, nah, it's time to just chill out, just write some songs and record them. But no, the record company went after all these labels, and so we had meetings with all these big labels, and most of them were like, oh, we'll get so-and-so to write with you, all the hit writers of the time. And, these meetings were just hellacious because, we didn't want to have anything to do with anybody else. It's like, no, this is our music. It's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, like if they were going to slam Diane Warren on your music.
Yeah, and she, of course, was one of the ones on the list. You got to write with Diane Warren.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Danny may have already done that because the
and no disrespect to Diane. I mean,
no, she's brilliant.
But her thing, not your thing. Yeah. Yeah.
It's that commercial thing.
Okay, well, we're going to get some more Rembrandts music. This is probably my favorite of all their songs. I love this.
Bright
You knew I was going to let that solo play, didn't you?
Well, it'd be churlish if you didn't.
Oh, it was just so cool. Well, the first time we were here at the house, and you had that Telecaster upstairs, and you went, "Here, let me show you how it goes." And then you handed it to me. You said, "Now you play it." I'm like, no, say I can't do that, and I can't do sidechain. But that was such a cool. I mean, what an unusual solo for especially even now. I mean, it's just as quirky as they come, but it nails that song for me. I absolutely love it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was way into sort of classical music and flamenco, especially when I was a kid. So I got all these things. That's where it's like I call my left hand the Mexican because it just automatically plays any sort of south of the border type stuff by itself. I don't have to even think about it.
Yeah. Well, that when the Rembrandts got going, you're signed to Warner's Publishing, and then they said you got to go out as an artist. Was that when you guys really started to pop? I mean, your records had to be doing well at radio by that point.
Well, we had already decided that we were an artist or artistes.
Mm-hmm. You were an act. Yeah,
and it's funny because the name, the Rembrandts, I had been using that name for my backup band up in Minneapolis when I was trying to get a solo thing going, and I was trying to get my guys to come down to Nashville to do some showcases and stuff, and we thought that's what we're going to do. But the guys had straight jobs that made it so they couldn't do anything.
So we called them straight jobs.
And Danny happened to actually I called him to ask him some question about some friends who were moving out to LA, and they wanted to know what a good place to rehearse and get a PA and stuff was. And he goes, "Well, while I got you on the phone, what are you doing?" And I told him the stuff I was going through, frustrated and everything. He's like, "Well, get out here. Let's write some new songs and try to get a publishing deal." And that's where that took off. And then once it started to be like, no, you got to have a act. So we had all these names, the Andersons, or we just wanted to be like something that would be different from what was going on. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Well, what's wrong with the Rembrandts? Everybody I've told about that says that should be the name." And I'm like, "Well, that's my backup band, Mm-hmm. And those guys and I were like brothers at the time, and I thought, I can't use the Rembrandts. That's them. It's like, no, everybody thinks that's the best name. So we just did that.
Oh, that's great.
I had to make up with my former dudes,
Yeah, and then along came that TV show opportunity. I want to read this that I dug up and tell me if it's accurate or not, like we talked about.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Down the rabbit hole.
The band REM was originally asked to contribute one of their songs as the theme song for Friends, but they turned it down. True or false?
Apparently true, yeah.
Yeah. And they didn't want to have anything to do with it. So,
nobody wanted to do TV shows.
Well, look what it did for you, though.
Well, that's the
in
irony.
Hindsight, yeah, right.
It's super ironic.
And what I read was, and again, stop me if it's not cool to talk about, but the guys from Warner Brothers Publishing, or whoever it was, said, well, we need to get our band, the Rembrandts.
They had to have somebody that was on their label.
And so they said, well, here, we'll give you our guys.
So here's the next one, REM, and then Rembrandts was right behind that. And they're like, but it turned out the executive producer of Friends, Kevin Bright, he was a fan of our stuff.
Oh, good.
And so he was like, well, it's got to be the Rembrandts. That's the sound.
Oh, yeah. And that, honestly, I mean, you've probably heard this to death, and forgive me for saying so, but that is the ultimate, the epitome, the apex of a show's theme song with 6 people who are only friends. No one told you life was going to be this way.
Closer than friends.
Yes, you're right. They all did. Yeah. Your job's a joke. You're broke. Your love life's DOA. I mean, it just speaks to that whole 1994 era, 30-somethings.
Yeah.
And wow, what a winner.
Were they even considered to be 30-somethings? Because, me and Danny were like in our early 30s. Mm-hmm. I think those guys were 5 years younger than us.
Yeah.
So they were probably late 20s. I think maybe Courtney was 30 or something.
Okay. Talk to me about the crew, the cast of the show. I mean, talk to me about your interactions with them and what you got to do, how things went.
Well, once that thing got going, for one thing, when we did the song, we were, especially our manager, was very worried. It's like, people are going to find out it's you. So, and we were all like, we should be anonymous. Don't give us a credit on the show. checks in the mail, you know?
Yeah.
So
Show me the money.
because of the fact that all the musical artists in our, sort of collection of what was going on in those days, our peers, they would never have taken a job like that.
They'd think it wasn't cool, I guess.
Well,
huh?
it was, it's not artistic, or it's, no, now you're in popular culture, you shouldn't do that. And music and TV are like two different things. And once you cross that line, you're, whoever else did it, I don't think ever got, I'm sure there are examples I'm not able to think of at the moment, but
yeah.
it was like verboten to do that. So for the first season, they didn't have our name on the credits, and there was a kind of a controversial thing going on, and radio stations were getting requests for, who is that? We want a record of that. And so actually it was a DJ here in Nashville, and I cannot remember his name, which is terrible.
I can look it up.
It's probably somewhere in the secret annals of rock and roll or pop music.
Yes.
But he is really, I need to talk to him, because at first I was thinking, what are you doing to us? He recorded it off his TV and, looped it like 3 or 4 times so he could play it on his station. And then that got passed around to every other station. And then our record company came after us. And meanwhile, we had just finished recording our 3rd record, and it was ready to go. It was printed up. The sleeves were all, it was all packaged and sent out. Like 100,000 copies were sent out. And they recalled them all because we had a meeting with the new president of our label, because our original label was Atco. And Derek Schulman from that label, he always was like, nope, you guys produce yourselves. Just don't let anybody tell you not to. That's why we signed with them in the first place. Mm-hmm. And suddenly we have this new, how labels, they just crush whatever they've got, and they
or when the
out.
person in charge is a fan of yours and they're your hero until they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then suddenly we still had the same staff people, but we didn't have the voice behind that, which was Derek. And this new president, she was not into our style or anything. They had other artists that were, R&B oriented, and they were getting the big hits. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, how are we going to compete with that? It's not up our alley. But she insisted, you got to put this song on your record or we're going to drop you.
Wow.
So our manager, in an amazing meeting, just the president, George, our manager, and then Danny and I are at this huge table in New York with the whole city in the background. Oh, wow. And it's like, she's saying, do this or you're out. And George said, okay, the only way we're going to do this is if you put it at the end of the album, and in order to hear it, you have to listen to the last song, and it's going to just go into that. And it was like, because they wanted to release it as a single, and we knew if they did that, we wouldn't move any units at all. It would be like they'd sell 1 million singles or more, mm-hmm. and our record would probably end up just, like a leaf in autumn. Mm. So he forced the hand on that, and the rest is history.
Wow. Okay. Well, folks, you know what we're waiting for. We want to hear the whole thing, don't we?
It goes a little like this.
It goes like this.
Oh, yeah.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke. Your love life's the way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear, when it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to fall. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you, 'cause you
I think everybody's got a taste of that from their memory. Golly, man. And that just took off for you guys, didn't it? So back to my question. Did you get to be with the cast at all when we were going?
Oh, yeah.
We were starting off there.
You said you had the box set.
I did. I had the movies. I mean, the DVD of the show. Yeah.
The 10 seasons all in one fell swoop. Well, our video is in there that we did with the cast.
Oh,
so
cool.
You better go home and research that one.
Well, I haven't got a DVD player anymore.
Well, now you can just go to YouTube and
that's true.
Punch it up and it'll come right up.
Well, how did you find the cast to be towards you? I mean, they were aware of the song, obviously, because it plays every dang time. You know? How did they like it?
Well, that's a semi-trick question, but when we first did the song, and I remember we were just getting ready to go out on tour, and I was staying at a hotel in Burbank, and as I was checking in, David Schwimmer comes in, and I knew who he was because, I'd seen the pilot and, even a couple of episodes, I guess. So he comes in to check in, and it's like, whoa, okay, this is crazy. We're in the same hotel. And after we were, getting our key fobs and stuff, it was at a place that had a great restaurant built in. So I said, you want to catch some dinner and catch up before we have to hit the road? He's like, well, I have to be at the airport at 4 a.m, so that's not going to work. Next thing you know, they're like off and running. They become these huge stars, and it was like night and day.
Wow.
And sometime after that, and I'm trying to think of how long exactly it was, but we basically had to make a video for this song, and somehow the director managed to talk the cast into being in the video.
Wow.
The story behind the scenes was that they were all on break and couldn't wait to get out of Dodge and go on vacations with their families and stuff. And nope, they couldn't do that because of us. So there was a little sort of underlying animosity going on there. But, they plowed through it and we got together. And it's funny because the director had made a very specific script and it involved a certain amount of violence, oddly. Because at some point, the idea was that the cast, they're going to go to our concert, and they want to sneak up backstage. And then when we go through the stage entrance, apparently Courtney was supposed to hit us over the head with a frozen fish. And then they were going to take our instruments and do the thing, and then we have to try to catch up and get our stuff back. But we all decided, no, we can't be doing that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we ended up in Jennifer Aniston's, I can't even pronounce her name, it's too many syllables. We sat around a coffee table in her little hotel room and just like a little gang and had to all put in our 2 cents about like, why is this scene in here? We want to change that. And so at the end of that meeting, basically we just threw the script out the window.
It sounds a little monkeys-ish to me.
Oh, yeah, it was very monkeys-ish.
Like, camp, like, what do they call that? Rave up kind of thing.
Yeah, everybody improvised. There was nothing in there that was scripted.
Oh, that's even better.
And then the weird part about the violence I mentioned, well, now there's a scene in there where Courtney decides she's going to play drums. So she hops up on the drum kit, but she has to take it away from the guy who was playing the part of our drummer. He wasn't a real guy, but he was back there, hitting the drums. And she comes up to him and hits him over the head with a stick. And he kind of tips over, and she hops on the drums and starts playing. So
that's crazy. Had she already been in the Bruce Springsteen video for Dancing in the Dark?
That's how she was like the biggest star of the cast at the time,
Wow. Did you get to meet Matthew Perry or talk to him at all?
We hung out, and after we were all staying in the same hotel, and after the shoots, Matthew was the one guy who wanted to hang out.
Yeah.
Everybody else sort of dispersed. And
man, we all felt something when he passed. And
he was the sweetest dude.
Oh, that's the vibe I get, and I really ache for his struggle to keep it together.
He went down some pretty dark paths, and I saw him during that period too, on various things. So it's like, man, watch out, man.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I know it's tough, but it's such an interesting and important part of the story of the cast of Friends.
Really,
And you guys, in my opinion, there's 6 of them, and then there's 2 of you guys. And that's really the 8 people that made Friends for me. And I'm not tired of the song, I got to tell you, but here's what I'm going to read you.
You've got some tough skin, I'll tell you.
Well, I'm a good guy. Here's something that I dug up. The song has alternately been reviewed as one of the best TV theme songs of all time and was listed as one of the worst songs ever.
Exactly.
Nonetheless, it sold millions and was a chart topper all over the English-speaking world. One reviewer, Lisa Daniels from Smash Hits, gave it 4 out of 5 stars and said, "It demands to be danced to in a ridiculous fashion that could possibly involve exposing your underwear."
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah, great.
And I must say, though, the English-speaking world is not the only ones, because I've run into many situations, and I've heard the cast on various interviews talk about the same thing, but you meet people from countries that do not speak English, and then they learned how to speak English from singing that song.
I guess that totally makes sense, because if you think about Cheap Trick live at Budokan, they're singing along in English to all of those songs from...
I know, it's a phenomenon.
Well, you guys are still at it, and I know, Phil, you told me about your concert you did at the Franklin Theater here in Nashville just recently.
Just about a week and a half or two.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry I missed that. I would have absolutely been there. I'd have paid double.
I didn't put up the smoke signals for you.
Yeah, send the carrier pigeon next time. Happy to be there. And, man, you are one of the great guys of rock history. And, you know, I count Joey Mullen in that, too, you know, from Badfinger. But
you know what, Joey and I had well, you probably knew this already, but we had a duo. We called ourselves an acoustic power duo, and we named ourselves the Drift Benders, which I made out of, I took Badfinger and the Rembrandts, and I took all the letters and I put them through the scrambleizer. It had a giant list of just hilarious stuff, but we went through that list. We just laughed so hard, and then we got down to Drift Bender, and Joey said, "That's the name, because my dad had a Drift Bender," because he was into metal work.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are still making music, and I'm glad that you had time to. Our time is almost up. Can you believe it?
What's up with that?
I don't know who put the clock in this thing. You know, actually don't need to, but I wanted to keep people listening and keep them engaged. And man, I could ask you stories for years. I mean, you're a wealth of stories in history, and your musical ability is tremendous. And
as is yours.
Well, I appreciate it, brother. I really do. You're too kind. I want to play one more song, and then we're going to go out. But so stick around, folks. Here is "Rolling Down the Hill," another major favorite of Jeff Dayton.
Love it.
Just sit back and take the radio.
Phil Solem, Rembrandts music there, Rolling Down the Hill. Dude, that's from the early 90s too, isn't it?
Yeah, that was on our second album, I believe.
Well,
and that song ended up in an awesome movie, one of my favorite movies, called Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, it was in that movie?
Yeah, it's at the very end when they have the school bus with the girls in it. And then the guys go, oh, no, you're trying to find two other guys. And then they close the doors and drive away, and then they play that song.
You know, that means everything to songwriters too, and that's where obviously where the money is. So, well, folks, we've had a great time talking to Phil Solem from the Rembrandts, and I really want to thank you, man. Thanks for taking time.
You're more than welcome, Jeff.
Yeah, and wish you well with the band and all the other projects you've got going on. I'm sure people hit you up all the time to produce their projects or play on it or whatever, and this is a great town for that, isn't it?
It is.
Maybe this will get your phone ringing a little bit. So we're going to go out, and here's the way we do it. That gal in the front that did the intro, that's Marsha.
Hello, Marsha.
Yes, and Marsha's a wonderful singer. She's worked with Rodney Crowell and Christopher Cross, and she's just an awesome. She's actually I think still touring with Christopher Cross, and she's on my wish list for a future episode.
Sweet.
Yeah, she really is. And so, Phil, all you got to do is say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Hey, baby.
Yes, David.
Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this show. We invite you to check out all the other episodes and share this channel with all of your friends. Until next time, peace.